Hey, welcome, it's Gene. Fixing stuff. Today we are going to be doing some glazing on a window that I built for my house. First one I built for myself, out of probably about 50 that I built so far. So, this is my window. My glass is in place. I pre-primed everything. We're going to be using laser points. These guys here. I have them kind of laid out already. I'm using 4, one per side here. They're pretty simple. I don't know if you can really see them. That's them. They got this little tab sticking up. You need yourself one of these window tools. Buy them like Walmart, any hardware store they have. It's got the little blade. This little thing back here, which you never use, and I'll show you here in a minute. So what you want to do is you want to take your glazer point, pointy end towards the wood. You want to kind of look and see if there's any knots, because these things are a bear to push into a knot. You just want to take it and you push it in, press it down a little bit, and string it forward. Just kind of wiggle it, work its way in until it seats. This is the tricky part because you kind of hear the glass creaking and crunching sometimes. You can break the glass if you push too hard or push straight down. I like to support the window a little. And you just kind of work them in real slow, side to side, wiggle them in until they seat, that the little ears seat up against the wood. See, I have a knot right here I can see. You guys can see there's a knot. So what I'll do is I'll move down away from it, because otherwise it will not go in. You end up bending the tabs. It's just more work than it's worth. You hear that glass crunching a little. It does do it. And it's seated. So that's that. You have your window glazing. I know they have the caulk kind. It comes in a tube, caulk gun. You run it around in there. Have to straighten it out on these tools. I don't personally like it. I've never had any success with it actually looking good and working nice. I've used this. The really good stuff, which I'm out of, is this stuff here. It's Sarco Seal, elastic glazing compound, type M. I got it on Amazon. You can see it. You can order it on Amazon. And a little bag of white powder is not the good stuff. This is actually something I'll show you here in the end for the window. This little fancy tool here is pretty much the same as this one here. But I'll tell you what, you'll see here in a second, this thing is amazing for your finish. You can do it, I know you can. It looks a little overwhelming. I like to take just a small piece, kind of warm it up in your hand a little bit. It's a little chilly in my shop right now. So I like to kind of work it and turn it into like a little log, per se. Start in the corner and just kind of work it in. One of the tricks is not to have too much, but you always end up usually with too much. Kind of see it's in there, push it in, because the whole point of this stuff is to kind of get in the cracks and seal the water out. Before I use this one, I usually take this guy, just kind of smear it in and get it close to where I want it. And see, it really smooths it out kind of nice. Check the end there. Take the excess, scrape it off. It's on the top. because you don't have any here, so you need some, so I just throw it right back in. If you ever done wood sash windows, you know that there's a lip in there, and then the little wood lip where the glass sits from the other side, that's kind of your point where when you run your tool, you want to kind of be on that angle that you're catching this point and where that coordinates down on the glass side. Because when you flip it over and this is on the outside, you don't want to look out your window and see a big chunk of glaze. So that's kind of where you want your line to be. So just work it in. And if you don't have quite enough in there, it's not a big deal. We can add some in again. The stuff stays soft for 7 to 14 days is when you can paint it. So it stays soft for a while. Kind of keep it in there. This little short guy over here is the one that's going to be a pain, and you'll see. One thing you want to keep in mind is, like, once you're working on this one, you have glaze on the other side, so you have to be careful you don't like pinch it, because it's soft. It just kind of mushes up. This window here, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, I think 8 panes in this, which is kind of typically close to your 3/3, or yeah, 3/3 sashes or 6/6, the old wood windows. They have 6 panes in them. It takes up a lot of glaze. This only has 3 sides, but I know in the past I've made quite a few of those sashes and glazed quite a few of those windows in. It takes probably a quarter of this bucket to a half, depending on your style and how much gets wasted. So just so you can kind of have an idea there. It's a little chilly in my shop, like I said, so this stuff's kind of a little more friendly. But if it's warm out, in the summertime and you're doing this stuff sticks to everything and anything, and it works a little nicer, but it's also a little bit tougher to work with in some sense. If you roll it around your hand and play with it, kind of like the old silly putty you used to get in little plastic eggs, if you remember that. It's similar to that, like the more you play with it, the warmer it gets, the better it kind of moves around. But if you read the instructions on the back, it does say it takes about 7 to 14 days till you can put a coat of paint on it, because there's oil in this. Depending on what brand you have, which usually has like a linseed oil in it. If you have some of this that's been sitting around for a long time, it's kind of dry. You can add a little linseed oil and it'll soften it back up for you. So we got this all pretty well packed in. We're going to take our nice tool, and I like kind of starting the corner and give it the edge. Apply even pressure, kind of find your line, and just slide it along. Get to the end, get some extra. Now you have a little extra here. I just like to grab my knife, go along, cleanse it up. I didn't mention in the beginning, I suggest gloves. Like, you know, the vinyl ones or whatever you have, but not cloth ones, because you can kind of see it's all the goo stuck on it. And that will stick to your hands. Not that it doesn't wash off kind of easy, but that way when you take these off, your hands are clean. It doesn't happen often for me, so I do like to do that. you make like a first cut, and then I go back and touch it up, because you can kind of mess around with it as much as you want to make it pretty. The one thing I kind of figured out is if it looks pretty good, leave it alone, because the more you mess with it, the more you make a mess. I just take my knife, go back along, scrape that excess off the top. Again, take the knife, carefully go along the edge. You kind of don't want to bump into the stuff you already did. It happens. Especially for me, I got some shaky hands. This one here. You know, these little pieces, I wouldn't really worry about them. You can just kind of blow off. The final process here, I'll show you what happens, what that little fancy, not the special powder, does. I don't know if you can see right here, I'm a little shy. There's not quite enough putty. Just go back, some of your extra, and smear it in there a little bit. Again, if you've never done this before, it'll be a little bit not as easy as I'm making it look, or it might be, depending on how quick you pick up on things. Just kind of lay it back in, smush it. So my hands are pretty shaky. So you kind of went back, you're kind of happy with it. It's pretty good. Take the thumb and finger, whatever, just lightly rub over it. I like to try and make sure it's sealed against the wood, so I usually just come back and lightly rub it, because that's the most important place. You can see your little wrinkles with the lift of your knife. Just go back and gently touch them. Now, you have to go back because you make it look professional. Any real glazed windows always have that corner in it. So what you want to do is go back, press that in there. That one I already did when I was touching it up. You just use the corner of the knife. Just lay it in there. Make your little impressions, and come back and just kind of smooth her up a little bit. If you have some lines in it, I mean, for me, I'm not super worried. Make it look nice. This one here. Feather it back. And smooth it up. Like that. So now I touched it right there, and you can kind of see it's got a little indent in there. But I know if I go back and try and mess with it, it's just going to make it worse. So we're not going to do it. So that was glazing. Now I mentioned this powder. When I ordered this, it suggested the powder on Amazon. Sure what it is. This is a clean paintbrush that, you know, I just cheap cheapo paintbrush. Put this on, you just kind of smear it, and then you can go back and brush your corners in your glass. And what this does is it makes it so the oil that got kind of smeared around on there will come off the glass real easy. You can almost do it. This is a little tough because it's a funny shaped glass, but it'll take the fingerprints, anything you had on there, and just wipe it off. And afterwards, you take a little rag and just wipe your edges right up to it, and it cleans it up really easy. That's with the powder. You don't really necessarily need the powder, but I do quite a few windows, so it does help. This was all reclaimed glass out of another window that I just cut it and made it fit, which we'll do in another video. I'll show you how to cut glass. This is how I cut glass. So that's it, and that's how you glaze a window. It's not hard. Just give it a shot. I know you can do it. All right. Good luck.